But that's not me. I was still trying to come to terms with what had happened earlier. Cookie did me a huge favor by offering something I needed more than anything else: comfort and closeness. The feeling of closeness grew stronger the next morning when I took a shower in her bathroom. I've traveled a lot for work as a senior logistics manager. I know how to manage showers in different places, but Cookie's apartment was nothing like a hotel or an inn. She had an old bathtub that had been modified with a shower, and it was not very convenient. The bottom was sloped and slippery, making it tricky to stand safely. The shower curtain wrapped around the tub, and I had to be careful not to let it flap open, which would create a mess. I wasn't sure what any of the bottles were. No labels to guide me. It seemed like Cookie didn't often use the shower for washing up. She likely preferred taking baths at night, enjoying the warm water and maybe using the shower head to feel comfortable while she relaxed. More than anything, I realized this was her personal space, arranged just how she liked it. She clearly knew where everything was, even in the dark. A few candle stubs showed she sometimes used candles too. Being in her home, which was not meant for guests, felt just as intimate as being close to her while sleeping. When I went to work, I managed to focus for a bit. I blocked Steph's number and asked the front desk not to let her in, but she didn't try to come by. She was probably at school anyway. I can only guess what she talked about with her boss. I thought about what might happen after my phone call to Hal. Steph had left me countless messages, but I deleted them all. After all, she had walked away from me, so I felt okay not responding. Was that the right thing to do? Maybe not. Was it fair? Definitely. That evening, I kept my promise and took Cookie out for dinner. We agreed to learn about sushi another time because I had just had some recently. Instead, we went to a steakhouse to show my gratitude for her kindness in letting me stay with her. She had really helped me through a tough time. Soon, our waitress came over with a cheerful smile, ready to greet us. But as she got closer, she looked straight into Cookie's eyes and said, "I love you." Cookie lit up with happiness. "I love you too, Liz. I didn't know you worked here." "Just for 2 months. It's going well. What brings you both here?" Liz asked. "Dave is staying with me for a few days, so I'm treating him," Cookie replied. "And I love him too." Liz turned to me. "Welcome to the family, then. I was in your place about 2.5 years ago. I can't imagine where I'd be without her. You're lucky. She's a true friend." I responded, "Nice to meet you, Liz. I look forward to sharing our stories." Liz nodded. "Sharing helps, but there comes a point when it can feel overwhelming. I learned to balance looking back and focusing on building a brighter future. I wouldn't have managed without her support." She smiled warmly at Cookie. "Dave is still early in his journey," Cookie noted. "It just happened for him last week." "Oh no, Dave, I'm so sorry to hear that. Cookie is the best, but if you ever need another friend, I'm here for you too. Having a good support system is important. I've been there, I understand. So count me in." I nodded, a bit amazed. "Now, what would you like to drink?" I ordered a beer while Cookie chose a white wine. Liz disappeared for a moment to get our drinks, along with some bread and water. Cookie looked at me and smiled. "I know you might have questions," she said. "Yes, Liz and I are old friends. She went through a tough time, and I tried to help her just like I'm helping you now. This is my way of giving back. But I won't share her story. That's for her to tell. When the time is right, you can ask her. She has nothing to be ashamed of, and neither do I. Just so you know, I don't pass on rumors or gossip. I don't keep secrets. I don't lie, and I don't talk about other people's issues. This is about privacy and respect, okay? You'll have the chance to speak with her later." That seems fair. "Good. I just ask that you don't share anything outside of this conversation, all right?" "Sure, no problem. That's the 3rd time I'm saying it, okay? You have my word." "Great, it's settled." I felt the weight of our agreement. It was like a quiet bell had rung. "Let me ask you this. Not about Liz specifically. We agreed that's her personal matter. But in general, you mentioned you decided you weren't interested in girls. I help people in many ways, not just romantically. That can be part of it for sure, but not always. Every situation is different. Helping is helping. Connection is connection. Yes, I'm straight, but I'm open-minded. Would it be wrong for me to say that's kind of interesting? Not if you think it is. It might seem a bit odd, but I'm not bothered." "Why aren't you bothered?" Because, clever one, I care about you. I care about you too. What? Wait, what? Stephanie stood at the far end of our table, hearing our sweet exchange and watching us hold hands. A rush of common excuses popped into my mind. It's not what it looks like. I can explain. It's not like that. The only thing stopping me from saying these was that they all tangled together, leaving me unable to speak. This opened the door for Cookie to step in. You must be Stephanie. And who are you? A friend. She tightened her grip on my hand. A good friend. It looks like Dave has been going through a tough time in his marriage and needs support. His wife has been unfaithful and expects him to accept it, forgive her, and move on. She turned to me. Did I get that right? Pretty much. None of this is your concern. Now let go of my husband. Which husband? I replied. I thought you called them both equal partners in your letter. David, who is this person? Stephanie, I said calmly. You just spent 4 days away with your other partner, leaving me to deal with a whirlwind of emotions all alone. Now you're upset because I'm having dinner with a friend? You have a lot of nerve. What are you doing here? How did you even find me? Your phone, said Cookie. She used the location feature. You both share a plan, right? At least for her regular phone, the one you know about. She probably has another one for her new partner. Don't talk about me as if I'm not here. Sorry, said Cookie. I didn't mean to upset you. Look, Stephanie, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just pointing out the surprising situation you're in. You have a partner outside of your marriage. You haven't decided to end things with him. You plan to keep seeing him no matter how your husband feels. But now you're upset because Dave is holding hands with another woman in a restaurant. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be angry. You made your choice to open your marriage, remember? I didn't think he would. This wasn't supposed to happen. She shook her head and blinked at me. Well, Dave, you moved on quickly, didn't you? I wasn't ready for this. I'm not trying to get back at you, Stephanie, I said. I'm trying to understand things. We are finished. You stopped being my partner when you decided to treat me this way. Since you started seeing him, you haven't really been my spouse. I'm just accepting what's real now. Well, she straightened up. I'm sorry you feel that way. If you were more understanding, I think you could handle this better. Maybe you could think about how I want to move forward. The same way you thought about me, right? I did think about you. I knew you would be hurt. I was trying to be nice. Keep believing that. Maybe one day you'll convince yourself. You two obviously need to talk, said Cookie. And it's been a long time coming. I should go. I agree, said Stephanie. You should leave. But before you go, I want to know your name. My name is Cookie. Cookie? What kind of name is that? Is that a stage name or something? No, it's my real name. I use a different name when I dance. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? You actually dance for a living? That's shocking. I can't believe you went to a place like that. How could you do something against our values? Well, that would be a good way to go against what you want, wouldn't it? Please remember what you were doing this weekend and stop judging me. How dare you speak to me like that? To answer your question, I was named after my great-great-grandfather, said Cookie, as if we weren't close to arguing. He managed the food wagon on cattle drives in Oregon. Stephanie just stared at her, confused. I promise, that's a funnier story than it seems, she continued. Actually, when my mom was pregnant, she said she had a bun in the oven. My dad remarked that I'd be sweeter than a bun, and he thought a cookie fit me better. So the name stuck. They considered other names, too. I could have been Jennifer like every other girl, or Melissa, or even Stephanie. But every time they agreed on a name, they ended up just calling me Cookie. They finally decided to put it on my birth certificate to make it official, since that's what they were going to call me anyway. Honestly, it's been great. Nobody forgets it or spells it wrong. Steph said nothing and just glared at her. That's probably the 673rd time I've told that story, Cookie continued. So enough about me. How are you? Me? Oh, I'm just fine. I caught my husband with another woman, so my day is going great, thank you very much. Humph. We're not having an affair. I haven't been intimate with him, and I don't think that's even what he wants. He doesn't seem the type for something casual. She turned back to me and looked me up and down. Not that I wouldn't. He's a very handsome man. We both knew what she meant. So what do you call it when you're holding hands in public and saying, I love you? It's just what it looks like. Dave is a dear friend, and I do care about him. He's going through a tough time, and I'm just being there for him. I don't suppose you want to talk about your part in any of this? David. She ignored Cookie because she was losing the argument. Let go of that woman's hand and come home with me right now. We were still holding hands. Interesting. Stephanie, Cookie said calmly, make no mistake. I don't claim your husband, and he doesn't claim me. I belong to myself, and I take no one as my own. That will always be the case. I'm not trying to take him from you. You're the one who pushed him away. Steph looked shocked, struggling to understand. Where did you find this person, Dave? I met her in a club. I got a dance and everything. You? Relax. She's one of Jessica's professors. Psychology and sociology, actually. I have 2 doctorates. I also teach fitness classes. She winked and stood up. As fun as this is, I should leave you both to it. I wouldn't be neutral. Plus, I have papers to grade. She leaned in and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. You owe me a dinner soon? I'll see you at home later? Count on it, I said as Stephanie fumed. Cookie walked away, moving confidently. I made a mental note to compliment her for staying calm. Come on, David, we're going home, Steph said. Stephanie, wife. Or however you want to say it now. I'm going to be very civil. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'll invite you to sit and have dinner with me. I haven't ordered yet. We can have that calm conversation you mentioned. After that, we would each go our separate ways. I was done with being told what to do or how things should be. If she didn't like it, she could just leave. Steph reluctantly took the seat across from me where Cookie had just been. Liz chose that moment to show up with drinks and bread. I'll give you both a few more minutes, she said, and then quietly left. Steph hardly noticed and ignored the wine. I really can't stand her, she said with a pout. I get it. What's not to dislike? She's smart, talented, and interesting. She finds me appealing and actually cares about me. You should be worried, even if nothing more has happened yet. If that's true, it's even worse. You're having feelings for her. Don't you realize that can be just as harmful? Was that what I was doing? I hadn't thought of it that way. Why do you think that? Come on, saying I love you like that? She says that to everyone. She even told the waitress. No way. Ask her. Her name is Liz. I will. And what's with saying, see you at home later? I'm staying with her for a few days. I didn't want to be home when you got back. You're staying at her place? In her room? That's not your concern, really. Seriously, Steph. You're being a hypocrite. You told me you love another person and have been involved with him for years. I never said that. Yes, you did. I never said it was a man. I just said it had been happening for a while. Come on. You're not fooling anyone. You've been with Lee Davenport behind my back for 2 years while playing me for a fool. How could you possibly know that? I didn't say. You never saw. Honestly, I see what's going on. I'm not clueless. I never thought you were clueless. Then how could you believe I wouldn't catch on eventually? But everything seemed fine. I just didn't want to see it. I didn't want to accept the truth. So I spent those years feeling bad about being a bad husband because I was unsure about you. And you let me feel that way. You even encouraged it. You claimed that your secret made our marriage better because it made you happy. No, Stephanie, that's not true. I've been quietly unhappy and struggling for a long time. You have taken advantage of me and not appreciated me, which is not a good marriage by any measure. I know you're upset. I admit I have made mistakes. And yet you act like that's my problem. It's okay for me to be upset, and you're still making those same mistakes and don't plan to change. Why do I have to handle this? All right, yes, we could have managed the situation better. The key now is to stay calm like grown-ups and not act impulsively. What happened with the locks and storage was not needed. Can you even listen to yourself? I'm not the immature one. You're being selfish and you can't see it. You look down on teenagers too much. Well, I'm not one of those kids from your school. You're being thoughtless and unfair. You don't need to say that. What's wrong with saying the truth? Why do you keep making me the issue? You're the one who's acting unreasonably, not me. You wrote that letter praising me as a great husband. But you've been a poor partner. Okay, I guess I have to accept that. She returned to her sulking. This isn't how I imagined this talk going. I bet. This isn't how I wanted our marriage to go either. Me neither. She seemed less angry and more sad. Hey everyone, Liz said quietly, coming back to the table. I don't want to interrupt your important conversation. Have you decided what to eat? I'm not hungry, Stephanie replied. I am. I came for a steak. I'll have the petite filet, cooked a little less than medium with a loaded baked potato. And Stephanie will have the veal ravioli as her main dish, plus 2 salads with blue cheese on the side. I said I lost my appetite. I've been married to you for 20 years. Trust me, you won't be able to resist the food once it arrives. You love the veal ravioli here. If you still don't want to eat, you can take it home. She shrugged, giving in. Okay. Great, Liz said, quickly going back to her work. One thing I've learned is that this whole process is exhausting. Sometimes I'm not hungry, then suddenly starving. I'm not tired, but I fall asleep without meaning to. I don't want to do anything, yet when I do, I can't focus on anything else. I feel like a mess, and honestly, it's a relief. At least now I know I'm not losing my mind. At least I know what's real. I haven't found it easy either, she said. Do you think I'm happy about any of this? No, I am not. I didn't like hiding things from you. I wanted to share my feelings, some of the biggest emotions I've ever had, but I couldn't. There was no one to talk to. Not you, the kids, my friends, or family. I felt alone. Wow, she really did look unhappy. Don't expect sympathy, Steph. You couldn't tell anyone because it just wasn't right. You've been acting in a shameful way, and deep down you know it, even if you don't feel any guilt about it. Your parents really influenced how you think. You seem to think shame is a terrible feeling, something that just holds you back. But that isn't true. Shame can remind us to be better people. It makes us feel bad when we do bad things. Do you know what they call people who never feel shame? They're called sociopaths. Those are people who don't have that feeling. You mean they lack empathy. Sociopaths don't feel empathy, not shame. You've got that mixed up. Well, I don't see much empathy coming from you either. I have plenty of empathy. I understand this must be hard for you. I've told you that. You looked shocked when you saw me here with Cookie. If you ever thought about how it would feel if I did this to you, you would never have acted this way. Just think about it for a moment. Imagine if I loved someone else and hid it from you. If I called you crazy whenever you suspected something and made fun of you for feeling jealous even though you were right. How would that make you feel? That shock, that anger, that disgust. You didn't think of any of that until just now. You kept it out of your mind. She couldn't look at me. I pressed on. What would you think if Michael married someone who acted like this? If your daughter-in-law betrayed him and loved another man while keeping him in the dark? You'd be furious. Don't even get me started about how you would react if Jessica's husband had another wife and lied about it for years, only to say she should just accept it and go along with things. That would be unforgivable. She still didn't speak. Let's talk about your boyfriend. Sorry, your other partner. If you truly cared about him, shouldn't you want more for him than a secret affair with a married woman that could endanger both of their jobs? Doesn't he deserve a true partner? Someone who is honest and loyal? Not just a hidden relationship? You are messing things up for him. You've put him in a terrible situation. Now there were tears on her face. It seemed she was only worried about her own situation. The only person you care about is yourself, Stephanie. The only thing that matters to you is what you want. You haven't thought about how this could hurt others. I guess that's part of the whole issue. Forget everyone else. This love means everything, and I will sacrifice anything for it. Is that about right? Because that's what you've done. You don't have to say it that way. Why shouldn't I? You're just being unkind. Look at yourself and say that again. Liz chose that moment to bring over the salads. Thanks, Liz, I said. Oh, and by the way, I care about you. She stopped to smile. I care about you too. Then she turned and walked away. I guess we had our own special way of communicating. What was that about? Said Stephanie. It's just words. I think Liz is a nice person. I care about her. I'm not going to cross any lines with her, but I can show my appreciation. You can't just say I care about you like that. She doesn't seem to mind. I see that, but I don't understand. Why not? There are many kinds of love. I can care for anyone I want. I can care for everyone in the world if I choose. Except your boyfriend. Forget that guy. But everyone else? Sure, why not? Do you still care about me? Of course. You do? Yes. Then why are you talking to me like this? Because I'm no longer devoted to you. You've moved on too. You broke our commitment. It wasn't a mistake. You made a choice. You've been doing it for a while and you're still at it. I deserve better in a relationship. You even said so in your letter. I guess I did, didn't I? And yes, for what it's worth, I meant it. I just never thought you'd react this way. I hoped you might be more understanding. My being understanding isn't the problem. Then what is? Steph, if it was just a small issue, that would be one thing. If you had talked to me, if it was a decision we made together, maybe we could have found a way to handle it. If only I had some input, it would show that I still mattered to you. That our marriage still meant something to you. I don't know, but we'll never know, will we? Because that's not what happened. You decided to go against me without considering my feelings. I was just in the way. Being married became something you chose to overlook. Of course you matter. That's why I didn't tell you. You pushed me aside. You kept me in the dark for too long. You made me feel foolish. I was more than your partner. I was someone who cared deeply for you. You decided I didn't deserve to know what was happening in my own life. I'm sorry for what happened. I was hoping that, after everything we've been through together, you could forgive me. There's an old saying, it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. That doesn't make what you did right. It's still wrong to assume it would be okay in the end. Just because you can ask for forgiveness doesn't solve the issue. I understand that, but I did what I did. It can't be changed. Now, you can choose to forgive me, which would help you heal, or you can hold on to this anger for a long time, which would only hurt yourself. And thank you for giving me that choice. I let out a deep breath. The truth is, you're right. Eventually, I will forgive you. But our marriage is over. When I'm ready, no matter how long it takes or how many others I meet, I will forgive you for my own peace, but it won't be soon. It won't be for you, and it won't fix our marriage. It will happen when I'm ready, not because you want it. You don't have a right to that. By the time it does, I might not even be in touch with you anymore. You won't even know. It doesn't have to be the end for us. I thought we had something good together, didn't we? You mean, as long as I didn't know anything that would hurt me? Exactly. I hope you realize one day how terrible that is. Imagine if I had an illness and didn't know. Would the illness not hurt me because I can't feel it? Of course, it would still be harming me. That's what you did to our marriage. You let it grow worse without telling me. Being honest could have given us a chance to fix things. Keeping it a secret only made it worse until it felt hopeless. She was silent, not knowing how to respond. In that moment, Liz arrived with our food. It looked delicious and smelled amazing. This looks wonderful, Liz. Thank you. You're welcome. Can I get you anything else? Yes, Stephanie continued. That woman who was here earlier, did she say I love you? Yes, I did too. So, are you friends? Or something more? Liz raised an eyebrow, letting Stephanie feel how awkward the situation had become. I'm sorry, I don't mean to intrude. I just want to understand what's happening with my husband. Liz looked at me for a moment, and I nodded slightly. That was Cookie Deathridge, and she isn't anyone's partner, Liz explained. If you're worried about her being interested in your husband, don't be. When she says I love you, she means it sincerely, but for her, love isn't romantic. It's about friendship and connection. So, it doesn't mean anything? No, it means a lot. But it doesn't have to mean you're in a relationship. When people say I love you, they might think it means I want to be with you forever, get married, have kids, and settle down. Saying it is a big deal, right? But really, it can just be a feeling. Feelings come and go. You have love, and then you have the choices you make about your life. You don't have to let feelings control you. She looked at Steph, hoping for a nod in agreement. Steph stared back, as if someone had shown her an easier way to do something she'd always struggled with. Is it really that simple in Stephanie's mind? Just a simple math problem? Strong feelings equals you have to be with someone? Oh no, that explains a lot. No wonder she got involved with someone else easily. No wonder she thought I would accept it. This makes so much sense now. So, a couple of years ago, Liz said, my boyfriend, actually my fiancé, was unfaithful to me. We had been together almost 7 years. Getting married felt like a formality. He was my soulmate. We had 2 kids together. But then, he left us and moved to Calgary with someone else. I was in a really tough spot for a long time. Cookie stepped in and helped me get my life back on track. She kept me going. She was my friend when I needed one, and I can't thank her enough for that. I love her and she loves me. Steph seemed quiet after Liz spoke. I thanked Liz for sharing her story and she left. Steph picked at her food, deep in thought. I don't want a divorce, she said. I still love you more than anything. This isn't how I wanted things to go. I thought you loved me enough to try. Don't you love me enough to even try? Stephanie, I do love you. Please don't doubt that. But that doesn't give you the right to take me for granted or treat me poorly. Love is not a reason to manipulate someone. I never treated you poorly. I always loved you. I just want things to go back to the way they were. We've built a nice life together. I don't want to lose that. So, I'm just supposed to pretend that you're not with your other husband? That you don't care about him more than you care about me? No! Can't you see? This has been tearing me apart. I wish I could have told you everything from the start, but I knew you wouldn't accept it. I never wanted to upset you. I thought keeping this a secret was for the best. My feelings for you haven't changed. I still love you just as much. And no one else is more important to me than you. I think he is. You took a big risk by getting close to him. But it seems protecting what we had wasn't a priority for you. So in a way, he was more important. He still is because you haven't even tried to let him go. She looked down at her ravioli, taking her time before replying. It wouldn't be true if I did, Dave. I couldn't pretend. Even if I tried, you wouldn't believe me. At last, some honesty. I didn't see it as a risk to our relationship. I thought we were strong enough to handle the changes. We had the twins, after all. They changed our family. It wasn't always easy, but it was worth it, wasn't it? Despite the sleepless nights and challenges, having a family made our bond stronger. That was our best decision together. You can't deny that. Michael is my son. Jessica is my daughter. A sudden thought crossed my mind. Are they really? I'll confirm it if needed. Of course they are. I would never betray you. What you would or wouldn't do is hard for me to trust, I said, shaking my head, trying to clear my thoughts. If you're being honest, then they are part of both of us, a choice we made together. I embraced being a dad just like you embraced being a mom. But Lee Davenport is an unwanted presence. He's a problem that you brought into our lives. You did this without me. I don't even like him. There's no reason I should. He made me feel like a stranger in my own marriage. I can't accept him as family. You better not let me see him again. As I was saying this, another voice inside my head was yelling, "No!" Even though I didn't say it out loud, Stephanie seemed to sense it anyway. My steak was just the way I liked it, so I focused on that for a moment. We're still married, Stephanie said after finishing 3 of her ravioli. That doesn't just disappear. You can't just say it's over. I will fight for us. I'll insist on counseling. It would be a lot easier and cheaper if you accept that I'm still here and not going anywhere. You know what? That's a good idea. Let's go to counseling. I'll even arrange it. But things aren't going to unfold as you hope. If you think you can convince the counselor to join you and make me agree to your idea of a relationship with more than one person, you are mistaken. The sessions will focus on helping you understand your actions that led to the end of our marriage. That's not true. I don't want to end things. You do. Then let's get started. By the way, she said, it wasn't right to call Hal. What did you tell him? This isn't about my work. I didn't tell Hal much. I called to ask about the teachers' conference you mentioned to Jessica, the one that was never happening and that you weren't going to. He didn't have any information about it. Then I asked if he knew where you were. He thought you were home with me. He called me in at work and asked if everything was okay at home and if there was something I should tell him. He even pointed me to the employee's handbook. You didn't mention Lee, did you? I might have asked if he knew where Lee was, too. Seriously, you didn't need to do that. And you didn't need to get involved with him. It's not fair to bring others into this. Oh, that's rich. You're telling me not to involve others? How about you follow your own advice? Stop trying to shift the blame. This is on you, Stephanie. If you weren't ready for what might happen, you shouldn't have gone down this path. Plus, Hal isn't naive. He would have found out eventually if he didn't already suspect anything. I'm sure he heard the whispers. What whispers? Your students have been talking about you and him. It started when Jessica and Michael were in their junior year. Didn't you know? Stephanie looked shocked. No, that can't be right. Ask them. I don't even want to. She lowered her gaze. Why did you let the kids read the letter I left for you? That was meant for just us. Like our marriage? Please stop saying that. Just answer me. Okay. I let them read the letter because they deserve to know the truth. I didn't want you to make me the bad guy. You were planning to tell them some story about how we grew apart, and that Lee was just a supportive friend until you fell for him and married him next. I wanted them to hear the truth. I would never have done that to you. Of course you would have. That was your plan all along. No, I want to stay married. And still see him on the side. I know there's a way this could work. It has before. 2 years of deception and breaking my trust. 2 years of confusing my feelings. No. No way. Not with him. Not now. And definitely not without talking to me first. If you want an open marriage, we need to discuss it. If you want help, that should have happened before you started seeing someone else. Asking for forgiveness now isn't enough. I guess you're right, but it is what it is. We need to make this work. Wait, I just realized something. What? You still haven't apologized. I have. I said it in my letter. No, you said you were sorry that it happened and that I was hurt. But you didn't say you were sorry for being with him. You mentioned having no regrets and that you would regret it more if you didn't see him. No, Stephanie, you're not really sorry about the affair. You only regret how it turned out. She slumped back in her seat. And you haven't said anything about being sorry since you sat down. Yes, I have. I confessed I did something wrong. That's not the same as saying you regret it. That doesn't count as an apology. If I could go back in time, Dave, I would handle things differently. But you'd still do it. I would. She sat up straight, determined. But I would have made sure you knew it wasn't about you or our marriage. You're right. You deserve to talk about it. I didn't treat you with the respect you deserve, and I'm truly sorry for that. I really didn't mean to hurt you. Please believe that. You still don't regret doing it or that you're planning to continue. She fell silent. Her eyes said yes, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Because love is never wrong, I said. It would be wrong to hide how you feel about him. She nodded, confirming my thoughts. And it would be wrong not to act on those feelings. That would go against true love. Yes. I took a moment to process it. Get out of here, Stephanie. Leave. I don't want to see you anymore. Now. Dave! Leave! She fidgeted, her hands moving nervously across the table. She got up from the booth and paused. I'm sorry, she said one last time, then walked away with tears in her eyes. I realized I had been gripping my knife. My knuckles were white from holding it so tightly. I dropped it and stared blankly ahead. Liz came over shortly after. I don't need to ask how that went, she said, looking at me with pity. About as well as I expected. Drink this slowly, she said, placing a small glass of a golden liquid in front of me. She didn't have a tray. She just carried it in her hand. Take a sip. Just sip it. Just let it melt away in your mouth. I brought the drink to my nose and took a breath. Bourbon. I looked at her with surprise. Angel's Envy served neat, she said with a friendly smile. On me. Enjoy it properly. If you rush it, I might have to stop you. I listened to her. I knew she wouldn't stop me. It was wonderful. I let the rich flavor linger in my mouth and a warm feeling spread through me. You really know your stuff, Liz. Most nights I'm the bartender. You learn to pick up on things. I'm really happy to have you on my team, especially tonight. I'd be glad to be on yours, too. I care about you. She smiled back. I care about you, too. I left her a generous tip. How did it go? Cookie asked when I got back to her place. It went okay. I raised my hands in a gesture of giving up. I agreed to go to counseling, not to fix things, just to talk everything out. I shook my head. I'm sorry our evening got interrupted. I still owe you a nice dinner. Did you eat? Yes, I did, just my usual. Hummus, olives, carrots, and cottage cheese, shredded radish, wazza crackers, and pita bread. It's better for me than a heavy meal. I would have had to work it off later anyway. She shrugged. But counseling is a good idea. You might learn something from it. About Stephanie, and maybe about yourself, too. Those sessions can reveal a lot. I hope so. One thing has already come to light. I sank into the love seat. What's that? She doesn't feel guilty at all. She's not sorry for what she did. She's only sorry I feel hurt about it. She's sorry things have turned out the way they did. She's sorry she's made a mess of things, but she isn't sorry for her actions. She's actually pretty stubborn about it. Cookie nodded as I spoke. I understand. Based on what you've told me, you're spot on. From her perspective, everything would be fine if you never found out about her infidelity. She's mistaken, of course. You'd be living a lie and she'd be taking advantage of you. But that seems to be where she is right now. She won't feel sorry if she doesn't think she did anything wrong. Love is never wrong. That's what she said, I replied, feeling frustrated as I processed it. And since she's in love, that means she believes she's in the right. It's maddening. It's not a terrible idea to say love is never wrong. But being not wrong doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. That's flawed thinking. It doesn't mean love is okay in every situation. It could be confusing. It could be inappropriate. It could be foolish or unhealthy. It could pose risks. There are many reasons why love might not be a good choice without it being outright wrong. Absolutely. And that's even if she truly loves this other person. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's just convincing herself that's true to justify her actions. Calling it love makes sense to her, I guess. People do a lot of wild things for love. It seems exciting to go against what's right and good. Being a bit rebellious feels brave. But this way of thinking can lead to problems in life. Like ours. Exactly. You've decided there isn't Ennis anymore, have you? That's right. I felt quiet. The thought that Steph might not regret her time with Shitweasel was sad and new to me. She still felt proud of herself. She enjoyed the adventure she had. She thought taking risks was brave. If she hadn't, she would have felt let down. Would she do it again with someone else in the future? Was the only way to have a happy marriage to be with someone no one else would want? That didn't seem right. Marriage only works if you choose each other, and that means making a choice. Being stuck with no options isn't what marriage is about. It's about choosing the same person every day, through good times and bad. Everyone could walk away at any moment, but they choose to stay. That's what makes it special. Staying committed in tough times, too. Was this one of those tough times? Was I really failing here? You look serious, Cookie said. What's on your mind? Stephanie won't feel sorry. She doesn't think she did anything wrong. She believes she just needed to handle my reaction better. She thinks I'm the problem for being stubborn. She thought she could control how I felt. Cookie listened with understanding. She doesn't see how hurtful she is. Many don't understand how important pride is to a man. Society expects men to be strong, independent, and steady. They have to provide support while also being understanding and open. But they can't show any weakness or ask for help. Men need care too, just like everyone else, but they're not taught to ask for it. Exactly, that's what we learn growing up. She took off her shirt. Wow. Relaxing and laughing can really help. It can lift your mood and ease stress. It's hard to feel down when you're having a friendly moment. Well, when you put it that way, I do feel a bit better. Here, she said, sitting in my lap. Go ahead, like before, no rules this time. It's just us. She moved closer, and I could feel the warmth of her skin. I leaned in, feeling the soft comfort of the moment, her gentle presence filling the space. The simple connection between us, the closeness, and the feeling of being wanted made it a time I would remember for years to come. One of those rare moments of pure happiness. After a while, I felt her tense up and shiver in my arms. She was caught in the moment, and I couldn't believe how much we were in sync. It was as if our connection had brought her to that point of complete joy. More, she whispered softly, her voice still recovering. We stayed close, moving together in perfect harmony. The warmth between us built slowly, her movements gentle and rhythmic. I felt the comfort of her resting against me, her breathing deep and calm as we both just enjoyed the closeness. The time we spent together seemed to stretch on, filled with nothing but the simple pleasure of each other's presence. Eventually, after what seemed like a long, peaceful time, she pulled back, looking tired but content. She slid down to sit in front of me, taking a moment to gather herself. You don't have to, I said softly. Yes, I do, she replied with a smile. Her touch was careful, filled with care and attention. It wasn't just about the moment itself, but the feeling of being wanted, of being cared for. It made me realize how much I had missed feeling appreciated. Her attention reminded me of what it was like to feel valued, something I hadn't experienced in a long time. This time, her approach was thoughtful, as if she wanted to show me just how much she cared. She took her time, showing a deeper understanding of how to bring us both closer together. Her movements were gentle but confident, and the connection we shared was undeniable. Every moment felt like it was part of something bigger, something more meaningful. When she finally sensed I was nearing the end of our time together, she paused and looked up at me with a quiet smile. "Give me everything," she said softly. And with that, the moment came to a peaceful close, filled with the quiet understanding of two people who had shared something special. "Yes," she whispered, smiling as I finished. I felt like I had given more than I ever thought possible. She leaned back, still laughing softly, and looked at me with satisfaction. "Wow, David. You really gave me exactly what I needed, didn't you?" The image of her joy in that moment left a lasting impression on me, something I knew I'd never forget. I managed a weak sound in response, too overwhelmed to say much else. "Did I wear you out?" she teased. "Think I ruined you for any future girlfriends?" "Yeah," I muttered, still catching my breath. "Good." She smiled warmly and climbed back onto the couch beside me. It wasn't about love, as she often reminded me. For her, this was about affirmation, appreciation, and enjoying the moment. Somehow, at some point in the night, she must have helped me into bed because that's where I woke up. I was wrapped in the blankets and she was nestled next to me, equally comfortable. For people who weren't a couple, this was starting to feel pretty close to it. I woke up at my usual time and realized I had to get to work. Cookie stirred slightly, still half asleep. No need to get up yet. "I don't have class until 10, she mumbled. "Well, I do," I replied. "Too bad," she said with a sleepy grin. "Yeah." She opened her eyes and looked at me, a little more awake now. "Are you feeling better?" she asked. "I know last night had its ups and downs." "It started out good, then it got tough, but by the end, it was really something special." "Good. You deserve that." "I feel like I took more than I gave." "Don't think like that. It was exactly what we both needed," she reassured me. "Besides, you were incredible. I didn't even, give back. Don't worry about it. Honestly, I couldn't have handled more, even if you tried. I was already feeling pretty amazing the whole time." "Really? I had no idea." "Yeah," she smiled. "And just so you know, not all women can feel that kind of connection the way I do. But last night was special, and you were wonderful." "Seriously? Some of the best I've ever had." "Some of the best? Not the best ever?" I joked. She laughed and replied, "Only someone very sure of themselves would expect that answer." I couldn't help but laugh along with her. "You know, you really are something else," I said. She chuckled. "What can I say? You were right about me being a bit of a nerd. My first crush was Luke Skywalker when I was a kid." "Figures." "Seriously, though, you should feel proud of yourself. You're a great person, and you did something wonderful. Don't let anything or anyone make you feel less than that. You're quite the catch." I felt a bit better after hearing that. "Thanks," I said. "Oh, and speaking of which," she added, "can you meet me at 4 this afternoon?" "Yes, I think so. I got off work early yesterday, so I could probably leave a bit early again today if I move a few things around. What do you want to do?" "We're going to the gym together. You're in good shape, and your body seems fine. Exercise helps release good chemicals in your brain. It can lift your spirit and make you feel proud. It's one of the best ways to feel better when you're down. More importantly, you should focus on taking care of yourself. That's way more important than just getting praise from others. Trust me, it works." "Oh, okay. I guess I need to go back to the house and find some workout clothes." "Yep." She noticed I said house instead of home. "And make sure to grab some shoes for running. They don't need to be fancy. You'll also need a small towel. A regular hand towel is fine. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. The first time is mostly about getting used to it and waking up your body. We'll go to the university gym. I'll sign you in." Okay. Great. Go get ready. I'll make some coffee. She playfully gave me a little tap as I walked toward the bathroom. I felt on top of the world. Work was just work. I stopped by HR to let them know I was going to end my marriage and that I needed to change my payments and insurance. I also mentioned I might need some personal days to meet with lawyers and counselors. They were very professional but seemed a bit distant. For them, these situations were normal, but for me, it was a big deal. That felt very sad. As the saying goes, what's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. I felt like that fly. I also looked up some marriage counselors and set an appointment. I thought about texting Steph about it. When I checked my phone, I saw many messages from her. I deleted all of them. I knew where I stood. I managed to leave work early again and slipped back to the house, hoping to be home before Steph arrived. That's when I noticed the storage pod. It was back in the same spot where I had loaded it with Jesse and Cookie. It seemed Steph wanted to undo what I had done, thinking it was just a small tantrum. Fine by me. But my new keys didn't work. The locks had been changed again. This new set looked expensive. Did she break in? Yes. She must have broken a window by the back door and got it fixed, likely with the person who changed the locks. Thankfully, she hadn't figured out the garage door opener and hadn't changed the lock on the kitchen door, so I could still get in that way. I knew I needed to keep a way to get in, so I checked that Michael's window locks were still broken from when he used to sneak out without us noticing. Most of Stephanie's things were back in place as she tried to fix the mess I'd caused. But she wasn't finished. She had been working by herself and was feeling down, so she couldn't do the work of 3 people in a single day. As I grabbed my things and a few extra items, I realized something I should have noticed earlier. Stephanie had a lot more belongings than I did. If I had packed my own things to move out, I could have done it alone in an hour or two. The space I used was shared with her. I had my half of the closet, some of the dresser, a chair in the living room, and a spot at the dining table for my work. Everything else belonged to Stephanie. I had just been living there quietly. Frustrated, I tossed most of my stuff into the car, and it all fit. I left the chair behind. As I drove to the gym, wearing an old t-shirt, gym shorts, and my only pair of sneakers, something else hit me. Our bed hadn't been slept in. Stephanie wasn't even using it. I wish I could say that my workout experience was good, that it was interesting and fun, making me feel excited for more. But it was just the opposite. I felt silly, clumsy, weak, sore, and older than I am. Cookie was nice and took it easy on me, but I could only try a few things with her, and I probably held her back from her own workout. It's tough at first, I understand, but it gets easier, I promise. How long until that happens? After you come a few times, it really improves. Just don't push too hard. Just show up, that's what matters. You'll do more when you're ready. If you say so. I do. You might not believe me now, but in a bit you'll feel better and be proud of what you did. I'll have to trust you on that. Afterward, we stopped at a smoothie place in the lobby. Cookie treated me, and the peanut butter and jelly smoothie I was enjoying was amazing. Cookie looked great in her workout clothes, and I should have felt happy. The important thing is to make a habit out of this, she said, trying to lift my spirits. Do it regularly, even when you don't want to. You'll be grateful later. Having that routine really helps with the feelings of being lost. Right now, it feels like you're just drifting without a clear path. Taking charge and seeing results in your life can really boost your confidence. But it has to be about exercising, right? Not necessarily. While exercise is a great way to see fast results, there are many other ways to make changes. In the coming days, think about exploring those options. I understand. There's a lot to tackle. I don't just mean the practical stuff like talking to your lawyer or going to the therapist. You seem to have a grip on that. I'm talking about the deeper issues, like your lifestyle, who you are, and your career. It's time to think about what you truly want. Well, I know what I don't want. I don't want to go back to how things were. I can't agree to the lifestyle she wants either. I just can't stay married to her even if she ends things with that other person. I don't want to be with someone who would resent me. It's great that you're clear on that. But it's even more important to think about what you do want instead of just what you don't. Try to focus on the positives. For example, if I say, don't think about fish, what comes to mind? Fish? Exactly. The main idea only strengthens when you frame it negatively. If I ask you to think of flowers, what do you think of? Flowers, and not fish. Oh, I see. So tell me, Dave, what do you want your life to be like moving forward? I looked up, lost in thought. That's a really good question. There's no rush. You can take your time. You can even change your mind if you want. What do you think I should do? I believe you should stop waiting for others to tell you what's best and decide for yourself. Right. Sorry for asking that. No apologies needed. It's just a habit. You're so used to thinking about what others want that it may be hard to focus on yourself. That's definitely true. I thought for a moment. I know there's a better way to ask these questions to get a good answer, but it's not coming to me. Sometimes asking the right questions is more important than having answers, don't you think? Was that a question? A rhetorical one. Here's another idea. What if you could have everything just the way you want? Where would you be if you could choose any place? What kinds of people would you want in your life if you could pick anyone? What would you do if you could do anything? You might be surprised by some of your answers when you discover them. I hope you do. Even if you can't get exactly what you want, you might find something similar that you can have, which could make you even happier because it's real, because it's something you can do, because it's yours. I have a lot to think about, don't I? You really do, but there's no rush. A lot is going to happen, and it might happen quickly. But as I said, things will change for a while. There will be some false starts and many options, and we won't know what will happen until someone makes firm choices. That someone should probably be you, don't you think? Yes. Divorce really changes our lives. People move to new places, switch jobs, and start new relationships. It marks a clear change in your life. We often see it as a loss, but it can also be a chance for new beginnings. How often do we get to completely change ourselves, to try things we usually wouldn't, to leave old habits behind and truly become someone new, someone closer to who you always wanted to be? It can feel overwhelming or even scary, but it can also be thrilling. A new challenge. Anything you've ever thought about but dismissed as, I could never do that. Well, now is the time to try. I wouldn't even know where to start. That takes us back to the beginning. You become who you are by trying new things. Are you someone who works out? You become that by going to the gym. Are you a fisherman, a writer, a dancer, a gamer, a comedian, a hobbyist, a reader? None of those. It all starts with small steps, just like you begin anything else. First, you have to let yourself think it's possible. That's the tough part. Then you explore it. You spend time on it, you practice, you keep doing it, and soon you're doing it for real. If you keep at it, you get better. And if you stay good at it long enough, it becomes part of who you are, not just in your mind, but in your life. Something clicked. Cookie, I'm going to guess that you weren't a dancer before. What happened with Justin? I leaned back a bit, hoping I hadn't said the wrong thing, but I hadn't. She just nodded. That was my big turning point. Before that, I was very shy, a complete introvert. That's how I spent most of my time in school, focused on my studies. I hardly spoke to anyone and paid attention only to my work. That's how I got through. People with PhDs sometimes think they're better than everyone else. But we're not. At one time in my life, I focused so hard that I bored a committee with endless details and notes, making them wish for us to finish and leave. Honestly, that's why I ended up with 2 degrees. I couldn't get a teaching job. That would mean standing in front of people and talking, which I didn't want to do. I preferred a research position where I could stay away from others, but those jobs were rare. I wasn't bold enough to get one, so I went back to grad school where I felt safe and at ease. Wow, that's a big change from who you are now. The person you see before you is the opposite of who I was back then. This woman and this life came from a strong desire for change. I transformed. You're brave. You're self-assured. You're strong. Only someone foolish has no fear, she said, suddenly serious. Courage is about facing it. She shook her head and smiled. Sorry, I got a bit intense. I used to be the quiet, shy person. Sometimes I still hear that person in my mind. But you're right. I chose to be this way. When I was in the hospital after my surgery, I knew I had to be a different person when I left. In a way, I felt like the old me had ended. The shy, nervous person I used to be was gone, replaced by someone bold and confident. I imagined myself as someone strong. The idea of becoming a performer was the craziest thing I could think of. I was so embarrassed the first time I stepped on stage. I'd never even shown myself in public in a swimsuit before. Are you serious? She raised her fist confidently. I promise it's true. That reminds me of something. Yes, from a movie, right? Good catch. It's a fun detail. Don't sell yourself short. You have a great mind capable of so much, including changing who I am. Especially that. Something she said caught my attention. You called me David, not Dave. Is that okay? Yes, that's fine. When Stephanie called me that, it usually meant I was in trouble. She only used it when she was upset. You seem to use it sincerely. Absolutely. Would you prefer I call you David from now on? No, it's fine. I'm fine with either. Sometimes people change their names when they want to start fresh, especially women. Have you ever thought about it? No, not really. Did you want to change yours? I thought about it, I really did. But I decided that being Cookie was a part of my old self I wanted to keep. She smiled a little and felt happy inside. That's good enough for me. From the song. That song is always in my head. It helps me feel strong. That's nice. Many things are nice, Dave. Even when everything seems hard, you can still find little things to enjoy. We finished our smoothies, so I got my car and followed Cookie back to her place. Finding parking was really hard, and I worried about leaving my things in the car. I picked up a bag of clean clothes and walked 4 blocks to Cookie's home. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a place to park. Yeah, parking is tough at this time of day. I put most of my things from the house in my car. I hope that's okay. Can I bring it in here? The moment I said it, I realized how silly that sounded. Her place was small and a bit messy. I can't really take in extra stuff right now. How much do you have and how long do you need to keep it here? I'm sorry. No, I get that. It's not a good idea. I'm sure it will be okay for tonight. I'll figure something out in the morning. She nodded. I know you don't want to be at home with Stephanie there, but we should find a better plan for you. Stephanie isn't at the house. She isn't? The bed hasn't been used. I think she's staying with her boyfriend. She keeps coming to the restaurant trying to take you home and she's not even there? Yeah, it doesn't add up, does it? Maybe she would be there with me if that worked out, I'm not sure. Okay. Well, I said you could stay here for a few days, and you're definitely welcome. But I can't really have you as a permanent roommate. If you have that big, empty house, I don't see why we both need to cramp up in this small space. Unless it's for fun, of course. Oh no, I'm being a bother. I'm sorry, I haven't been thinking of you. Stop. I'm not upset with you. Think of this as a chance to figure out what we talked about earlier. Where do you want to live? I don't know. Not at your house? Not really. You want your own place? Yeah, with room for the kids. When they visit, or really for them to have a place they can call home. They're settled for school, but I want them to have some security, a spot where they can keep their things and feel stable. Okay, so you want to stay in the city? I hadn't thought about other places. Well, we are thinking about it now. Why are you here? What's keeping you here? What might make you want to move somewhere new? We had to stay close to the district for Stephanie's job. Well, I don't really need to anymore, I guess. I work for a large company with many offices around the world. I might get a better job if I moved to one of the busy port cities. I've spent most of the last 20 years telling myself that I couldn't do that. Do you want to? I'm not sure. It could be a fresh start. It would keep me away from Steph, but I feel like I'm getting too old for big changes. She looked at me with sharp eyes. Tell me again who's old. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. It's fine. I have friends much younger than me who act older than their age. There are challenges that come with age, sure, but it often depends on how you see things. Lots of younger people stress themselves out and end up in bad situations. I guess that's true. What you're feeling is what I call an automatic no. When we think about new options, we quickly try to shut them down. It's a way to protect ourselves. Our lives feel comfortable because we know them well. Even if we don't love our situations, they seem safe. New options can seem risky, so the automatic no kicks in. I encourage you to fight against that feeling, not because I want you to change your mind or move, but because I want you to know you can. Your life changed while you were avoiding it. You need to be able to adapt and take charge of your situation. So forget the automatic no. Exactly, it doesn't help you. Where do you want to live? I don't know. I felt uneasy. But probably not here. I need to explore my options and think them through. I know that sounds uncertain, but I'm in logistics and planning. I gather information, weigh the choices, and then decide, okay, that's good. And you're right. I've overstayed my welcome. I'll book a place for a longer stay tomorrow. I can get a corporate rate. This is your space, and I appreciate that. You've been very kind. You've been more than worth it. And you still owe me a nice dinner, and I still need to show you a good sushi meal. Plus, you will spend more time here, just not all at once with your stuff piled up like a traveler. She looked up and thought for a moment. And I think it's good for you to have some space. We might be getting too close. If we keep this up, you're going to develop feelings for me, and that's not what you need. I'm here to help with your divorce, not to become someone special. I'm your friend, and I want what's best for you, which includes getting your thoughts in order. You're right, as always. Is this from experience? It's an old story, Dave. A very old, very sad story. She cooked a nice fish with rice and vegetables, and we had 2 glasses of wine. It was simple and peaceful. We chatted about anything and everything, avoiding the more difficult parts of my situation. Or rather, our situation. Cookie seemed to think it was important for me to have a normal evening, something that didn't dwell on my troubles. After dinner, we moved to the love seat. As we sat down, I leaned in to kiss her, then slipped onto the floor in front of her. Really? She asked, sounding surprised. Dave, you don't have to. You've been so kind to me, Cookie. Please let me return the favor. She smiled softly. You're such a gentleman. She adjusted her seat a bit, getting more comfortable. Go ahead. I took my time, focusing on giving her comfort. I gently massaged her legs, starting at her ankles and working my way up, careful to let her relax. My hands moved with care, offering her a moment to unwind. I focused on each movement, making sure she felt at ease, teasing a little but always patient. She let out a small laugh. You're really dragging this out, she said, though there was a playful tone to her voice. Come on, stop teasing. I continued gently, being attentive to her reactions. I kept things calm and steady, letting her guide me with the signals she gave. It was all about keeping things light and letting her enjoy the moment, without rushing. I paid close attention, making sure she felt relaxed and cared for. After a while, she started to tense up, her breathing becoming more uneven, but I kept the same slow, comfortable pace, letting her enjoy the flow of the moment. When she finally reached that peaceful state, she pulled away slightly, curling up and breathing out slowly, looking completely at ease. Wow, she murmured, turning over on her side, clearly content. She trembled again, and I held her close, staying still, not moving or doing anything to overwhelm her. I just let her feel my presence, letting her know I was there. After a moment, she pulled me closer, wanting to be held. I moved in behind her, our bodies fitting together comfortably. I kept my hand resting on her, not pushing or doing anything more, just letting her know I was still there as she relaxed into me. My other arm wrapped around her, and she gently guided my hand to her chest. I squeezed her softly, remembering how she liked it, and she let out a small sound, her body shaking slightly from the after effects. I held her tight. I thought to myself, this woman is unstoppable. Once she's in motion, she just keeps going. Realizing she probably wasn't done, I gently cradled her in my arms before shifting down again, taking my time to give her the care she needed. I stayed focused on making sure she felt calm and cared for, keeping a steady rhythm that let her stay in the moment. As we continued, I noticed her body reacting, and I adjusted my touch to keep her relaxed and comfortable. I paid attention to her movements and let her guide me, keeping the connection light and steady. After a while, I could tell she was getting close to her limit. She trembled again, her breath coming in quick gasps. Then she pushed me away gently, her body shaking from the intensity of the moment. No more, no more, she gasped, clearly overwhelmed. I quickly adjusted, making sure she was comfortable and didn't fall. Sorry, she murmured, still catching her breath. I moved back onto the love seat and pulled her close again. She clung to me, still trembling slightly, holding on tightly. We stayed like that for a long while, just quietly being there for each other. Finally, she spoke. God, Stephanie is such an idiot. I can't believe how clueless she is. Thanks. You have no idea. Oh my God, you really know what you're doing. That was incredible. High praise indeed. You earned it. Wow, Dave, I wasn't expecting that. Really impressive. You're being too kind. Not at all. I'm a bit selfish sometimes. How are you feeling? She glanced at me with concern. I smiled. Actually, I'm doing fine, I said, surprising even myself. Really? She turned to face me, her eyes searching mine. Most men only see giving as something they have to do before moving on to something else. And here you are, after doing all that, and you're good? What's going on? I took a deep breath. I guess I just wanted to do something for you without expecting anything in return. You've been so kind to me, and I wanted to give back. You deserve it. She nodded, understanding. Go on. I know you told Stephanie that I'm not the type for casual relationships. You were right. I'm not. I guess I feel like crossing certain lines would change things for me. You don't want me falling for you, but the truth is, I kind of am. Boundaries are important, she said gently. And so is communication. I respect that, and I get where you're coming from. You're right. She paused, then added, but you know, it's also healthy to let go sometimes. I don't want to leave things unfinished here, not after everything we've shared tonight. She smiled warmly, her way of showing she understood. We'll keep things where they are, but let me help you out as a friend. She gently leaned into me, but before anything went further, I felt my body respond, and I couldn't hold back. The moment washed over me, and I felt a sense of release and relief, far more emotional than anything else. That's it, she said softly. Just let go. You deserve this. We both took a moment to breathe. She wiped her hands with a corner of the quilt and snuggled close to me. That was lovely, David. And look, we've still kept things respectful. We stayed within our boundaries, she said with a playful giggle. You said but, I teased, and we both burst out laughing, enjoying the lightness of the moment. Soon we were laughing so hard that the seriousness of the night seemed to fade, replaced by a shared connection and a bit of silly humor. I pulled my shirt up, making it look like my head was stuck in the neck hole, and raised my arms like a football goalpost. I am the Great Cornholio. Stop! She laughed so hard it was hard for her to breathe. I'm the one who needs the special paper. She got to her feet and headed to her small bathroom. Stay there. I heard the water running and then the toilet flush. When she came back, she had 2 warm washcloths. One was soapy. She gently cleaned me up and then stood, taking my hands to help me up. Can you grab that quilt? I'm taking it to the laundromat tomorrow. You don't have laundry here? My machine is too small for it. Just leave it by the door. These too. She tossed the washcloths onto the wet quilt. Then come to the bedroom. She gave me a quick kiss and went off. All right then. She was curled up under her sheets, looking cozy and inviting. I snuggled in close to her, feeling worn out. I like that you can be silly. Oh, you have no idea, she stretched. I'm guessing Stephanie wasn't silly. Not at all. She was serious about everything. And when we got intimate, it was like she changed completely. Her voice, her stance, everything felt so different. You couldn't have a regular talk with her. She had her own script, and that was it. Yeah, that happens a lot. She was acting for show. Not everyone is like that. You don't act like that. You don't either. I've learned to blend my feelings with who I am. Before, I kept them separate and felt distant. Now I show my true self always. It feels much better. You can really do that? Just change for yourself? Anyone can if they really want to. She pressed closer to me. You're a great guy, Dave. Don't forget that. It's not just me saying it. Many people would agree, especially women. You're attractive, mature, secure in life, and you're kind and thoughtful. You'll do well. Aha. She was setting some boundaries, but not with you. Oh, you're doing really well with me. You're doing better than most. It's just that there's no further to go. You like being married, right? Not just to Stephanie, but being a married man. You enjoy the stability and the identity it gives you. Well, yes, that's true, I guess. My marriage hasn't gone well. It was never what I thought it was. But I have to admit I was very comfortable with my idea of it, maybe too comfortable. These last few years have felt like a lie. The stability I thought I had was just a trick. My situation wasn't real. I wasn't a happy husband. I felt lost. Now, I wear this truth like armor. Do you think you'll want to marry again someday? Not right away, just eventually. And not to me, just to someone else. I guess so, when I'm ready. But it might take some time. I need to deal with my feelings and learn to trust again. I haven't really faced that yet. People who go through a divorce usually either marry quickly again or take a long time. I think you'll be in the second group. You won't need to fix everything, just most of it. It's okay if some things still hurt. You moved on from yours. That's nice of you to say. But I haven't really... Is it because you vowed never to date again? Not just that. I don't think anyone could truly move on from what I experienced. The wounds are permanent. It's like losing a leg. You can recover, but the leg is gone. You have to find ways to live with it. You might have a good life, but you'll always feel that loss. Sometimes it still hurts. I didn't know how to respond. It's not that I don't trust people, Dave. I trust some people, and I do trust you. I know you wouldn't treat me like he did, but I never thought he would either. Domestic violence affects many women every year. Someone, somewhere, is harmed every few minutes. I almost became one of them. My escape came from a dark choice. I hurt someone I cared about. I did it with anger, so yes. I promised myself I wouldn't let that happen to me again. I won't put myself in that position no matter what. I keep my promises. Her voice was firm. You keep your promises, I repeated. Every time. If I can't do something, I won't promise it. There's strength in that. I suggest you try it. You made a promise to me. Yes, I did. I promised to help you, to support you, to guide you through your tough times. You really meant it. Absolutely, I see you understand. I'm starting to... A thought hit me. I know I'm not your first. I met Liz. You've helped others like me. You've been doing this for, what, 20 years? 24? How many people? She paused for a moment. You're around number 30, I think. Wow. Don't start feeling like just another person. Each story is unique. It doesn't always end well. And I don't connect with everyone deeply. Far from it. You are different from them. It's been a while since we had a good chat like this. I have some special ideas for you if you're ready for them. What ideas? I asked. Well, I can't share all that just yet. I'll tell you when the time is right. For now, you still have a lot to learn. Learn about what? I was just about to explain. When people get married again too quickly, they often want things to feel the same as before. They crave that comfort. But that's not a good way to go through life. Second marriages often don't work out as well as the first ones. It's important to take your time. Don't rush into new attachments. Focus on understanding yourself first. And though we've gotten close, keep things clear between us. I sense you're developing feelings, which is okay. Feelings are part of life. You can care for me, and I care for you too. But I won't be your girlfriend or your next wife. It's just not in the cards for us. We have a different kind of bond. You mean like friends with benefits? I asked. Not exactly. That doesn't quite describe us. She shifted a little closer, but in a friendly way. You've been in a long relationship for many years. You're not used to different kinds of relationships. Every connection is unique. People often focus on the traditional goal, trying to see if they're compatible, and if it feels right, they stick with it and call it a permanent commitment. It's the typical path, a happy home and all that. You've been through that before. Yeah, I guess so. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't need to date each person with the idea of settling down. Not every good relationship has to last forever. Sometimes relationships serve their purpose for a while and then end when they should. What matters is what both of you learn from it. It enriches your life and becomes a part of who you are. I've had wonderful relationships that were just right for the time we shared, and I cherish those memories. Her words hit me hard, reminding me of when Steph reacted to Liz saying you don't have to marry everyone you care about. I must have had a similar look of surprise. She noticed. Even though my face was hidden, she could tell when my body tensed up or relaxed. Think of it like going to school, she continued, calm and collected. You sign up, go to your classes, and join in on school activities. You make friends, play sports, and get involved in different events. You do your homework, hang out with friends, attend parties and concerts, stay up late studying, enjoy pizza, and worry about tests. You learn how to take care of yourself while living your life as a student. That's who you are. Then, one day, you graduate. It was never supposed to last forever. That doesn't mean it wasn't good. It doesn't mean it wasn't what you needed or that it was a mistake. Just because it ends doesn't make it a failure. It was a success. You will always remember it as something good that helped you, and you will be glad you experienced it. You will always be part of the school's community. Is this true? Are you my teacher? Yes, I am a teacher, but not in that way. In this setting, you are more like my student. You begin as a learner. You will become my partner, and then you may stand strong on your own one day. You might even do better than me. That is my wish, but I will always guide you. We will always have that. I held her close, and she held on a little tighter. Besides, there may come a day when you must honor your mentor. Well, I remember we agreed that you would be Batgirl. That makes me your Robin. But I have to grow up, become Batgirl for a time, and then move to another city and become Nightwing. Now you're getting it. Is that your plan for me? Smart thinking, something like that, yes. And how many of your students followed that kind of path? 2. 2 out of 30? I told you, you are special. I wasn't sure how to respond. Then an idea came to me. By the strength of the universe, you will be ready. She smiled warmly. The next morning, it was Cookie's turn to wake up early. She wanted to go to the gym before her 8 o'clock class. She woke me up with the noise of her blender making a strange green smoothie. I have to go. Please lock the door when you leave. Love you. She kissed me and left, looking ready for a workout. I took 5 more minutes to relax in bed. I sensed a presence, a quick shadow, and then saw 2 green eyes. Sebastian? The cat disappeared before I could move. I got out of bed, nearly slipped in the shower again, and packed my things. It hit me that I wouldn't be living here. I would come back, but only as a visitor. Was I just a visitor in Stephanie's life too? A traveler meant to move on to the next adventure? Was I merely a visitor in my own life? Was my entire existence just a series of temporary moments while I tried to fit in without causing trouble? I tried to think about how to leave less of a mark on the world. My job in logistics has been about moving things around, setting up systems, and making processes smoother. Is that really what my life is about? Moving things from one place to another, but never staying in one place myself? Helping others while I don't enjoy what I have? I shook my head to clear away the clutter in my mind. No, don't go there. It's okay to feel down. Let those feelings come and go. They don't have to control me. I'm a planner. I make choices. I get things done. That's who I am. At work, I focused on my tasks and lost myself in them for a while. Once I made some progress, I thought about where I could go next. I wanted to keep this career going because it was working for me. I had choices. I could even think about moving to another country. Why not? The only reason I was staying put was Jessie. But she might have better chances for jobs elsewhere and could be moving to who knows where in a few years. Maybe she would find someone special and head off with him. Michael was likely going to Chicago. He had his career path figured out and nothing would hold him back. That kid is unstoppable. Honestly, I didn't want to leave because of Cookie either. Whatever was happening with her was just beginning. It had only been a week, but it felt like a lot had happened. Was she going to be a part of my life in a bigger way? I shouldn't be thinking about this right now. This wasn't meant to be a serious relationship. Or was it? If it was unlike anything I had experienced before. Maybe she was right about it being something important, but it didn't have to last forever. I had no idea how things would change or grow. I was getting lost in my thoughts again. Time to get back on track, Dave. I looked into job openings my company had in Chicago for the next few years, planning to consider a move abroad once my kids were grown. I sent out some emails and waited for replies. I booked a 3-month stay at an extended hotel near the office in a location that was close to shops and restaurants. There was even a small gym. I decided I wanted to buy a bicycle. In the long run, should I get a house or an apartment? Maybe a condo? I wanted enough space for the kids to have their own rooms. I didn't want them to be just guests in my home. I wanted them to feel at home. Many empty nesters look forward to changing their kids' rooms into spaces for themselves, but here I was wanting to create new spaces for them. Am I heading in the right direction? Maybe I just need a cozy place for myself. I worked hard all day, focusing on real estate. I got some emails about a move to Chicago, and it looked promising. After my workday, I headed to my new place and unloaded my car. It went quickly. I checked my phone and saw that Stephanie had been reaching out again, but I ignored her. I deleted her messages and sent her one about the marriage counselor appointment I set up for Wednesday. She replied with a bunch of messages that I didn't read. This was the first night in 3 days that I wasn't with Cookie. This past week I had spent more time with her than I had with Stephanie in a long time. We talked and connected in ways that made me feel cared for, just being close to someone. It felt wrong. I realized that I had developed a strong bond with Cookie. Then I thought about what Stephanie might have been doing with another person. It made me uneasy. She hadn't been investing in our relationship. It made sense that things had felt distant between us. Was it my fault? Had I done enough to support her? I remembered hearing that to fix a situation, you need to accept your role in it. I wondered what I could have done differently. Did she feel taken for granted? Had I been distant? I didn't think so. The first thing in her letter said I was a good husband and that this was not about me. But was that true? I wanted to believe it. She wasn't shy about telling me when things bothered her, but she hadn't shared any problems until now. Just then, my phone rang. It was Cookie. Hey, Dave. Hi, Cookie. Ooh, you don't sound happy. Are you feeling down again? Yeah, I guess so. Thinking a lot. That's normal. But try not to let it take over your night, all right? Okay. I wanted to see how you were and let you know I'm working at the club tonight. I'll be dancing on Thursdays and Fridays this semester. It fits my schedule better. Weren't you up early today? Yeah, it's a long day, but I have a longer break in the afternoon for a quick nap. I just wanted to warn you that I won't be able to see you until Saturday. And if you're thinking about coming to the club, I suggest you don't. You might think you're ready for it, but trust me, watching me do my job will be pretty strange. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I guess I understand. I thought you weren't working at the club anymore. Why did you think that? Jessica said her friends were looking for you. Ah, Jerome tells the college kids that I'm not around. I sometimes switch between 4 spots in town to stay under the radar and use different names. It doesn't happen too often, but I get recognized sometimes. College guys usually don't spend much money at these places. Plus, they have other ways to meet people. That's true, I wasn't so lucky when I was in college. You just needed a bit more confidence. You're a catch, really. Thanks. By the way, when you dance, do you always choose a name that starts with a C? I do. Why? I was just curious. The guy at the booth called you C. Jerry has known me for a long time. He said I was lucky to be one of your special cases. He meant it's unfortunate what happened, but that I was in good hands. He's a nice guy. Is he one of your special cases, too? No. He's married to a wonderful man named Daniel. They've been together for nearly 20 years. Really? I wouldn't have guessed. Why? Because he doesn't act flamboyant? He's really protective of the dancers and good at understanding the clients. Sounds like he does a great job. He really does. Anyway, I need to head out now. I wanted to check in. Did you settle into the long stay hotel okay? Yes, I'm there now. Great. And remember, you owe me a real dinner date. Can we do it Saturday? Sure, Saturday works. Where do you want to go? Surprise me, just ensure there are healthy choices. Ruth's Chris sounded nice, but their food is a bit too rich for me. Got it. Wear something nice but casual. Sounds good. We both have some decisions to make then. Right. All right. Have a good night. Don't dwell on things for more than, say, 45 minutes, okay? Then shake it off and do something fun for yourself, but don't get too wild. You'll thank me later. Okay. Promise me. Twice. All right. I promise I won't feel down for long and I'll do something nice for myself. That's the spirit. I'll see you Saturday. Call me tomorrow. Okay. I love you. Love you too. We hung up the phone. I felt a wall go up, which was probably for the best. I had thought about going to see her dance again, but she was right. It would have been a bit strange. I would have felt jealous and sad, and that wouldn't have been good for me. I went back on my promise and spent the rest of the night feeling sorry for myself anyway. The next day at work, I was surprisingly busy, though I found myself searching for homes online again. I had decided on a condo and had several choices to think about, even though it all still felt unreal. Was I really going to move? It would surely be better for my job. I didn't want to stay in that house anymore. The kids, well, things would sort out soon enough. I didn't think either of them would be living there full time again. It really wasn't home anymore. It was just that house. That thought was finally starting to sink in. Also, my first meeting with a divorce lawyer was set for 2 o'clock that afternoon. I made sure to gather all the paperwork they needed and arrived on time. As I walked in, I felt a strange heaviness in my stomach, but I was determined to go through with it. My lawyer was a woman named Alicia Swanson. I had heard that men often do better in these situations with female lawyers, while women do better with male lawyers. I wasn't sure if that was true. I showed her my financial documents and the letter from Stephanie. Wow, this is not good, she said. You know this is a no-fault state. It doesn't matter why the marriage is ending, still this doesn't look good for her. It wasn't smart of her to leave this in writing. It could help us get a fair deal. What are you aiming for? I just want it to be over. A fair division. We'll sell the house. There's a lot of value in it. The kids are 19 now, so custody and support aren't a concern, right? That's correct, but you'll still need to help with their tuition, since you signed for their loans. The divorce doesn't change that. Any support you want to give them for their living needs can go directly to them or into a trust for them. It doesn't have to go through Stephanie. She frowned. I don't want to. It shouldn't matter, but they are your kids after all. Have you considered doing a DNA test? I've thought about it. Steph said she wouldn't do that to me, and I was harsh with her when she mentioned it. I haven't done a DNA test, but if I did, they are still my kids no matter what. I love them more than anything. I've been their father their entire lives, and anything else doesn't change our relationship. That's a good way to look at it. Let's keep that option in mind just in case things get difficult. I know you don't want to fight, and I hope it doesn't come to that. Still, I'm here to support you and want to be ready for anything. Even the simple act of doing the testing would seem like a big screw you to your ex. I won't lie. I'm hurt. My life has been turned upside down. I'm still really angry. She deserves to feel that way. But I want to be calm and fair. At least at first. At least on paper. I want to keep alimony low. I understand. With your income differences and how long you were married, alimony is likely. If she marries someone else, that could end it completely. The letter she wrote might help reduce it too, especially with that note about equal partners. We could also lower it if we show that her new partner helps support her. Are they living together? It seems like she's staying at his place, just staying though. I don't think she's moved in and I can't prove it. Let's see if we can confirm that. Should we hire a private investigator? I know a few we could work with. The affair is known now. Aren't those investigators expensive? Would it really save that much in alimony? She shrugged. It's a trade-off. If you wanted to enforce a prenup or take legal action for hurt feelings, then yes, it would be worth it. But for a possible small reduction in alimony? Not really. It would take too long to pay off if it ever did. It might be easier to get her to say where she's living. Are you still in the house? No, I've been staying at a friend's place. Now I'm in a temporary suite near my work. But you say she's not in the house? I changed the locks. Then she came and changed them again. She locked you out? Pretty much. And she isn't even there? But she says she wants you back? That doesn't make sense. You're right. None of this makes sense. She sighed. It often doesn't. That's okay, we can handle it. As long as both of you are safe, it's manageable. Is she going to argue about the house or the money or try to make this longer with counseling? I actually have a counseling appointment already. You do? You agreed to that? Yes, but not to fix things. Just to find some closure. I'm even paying for it. Well, that may or may not work out. Don't be surprised if it goes differently than you hope. Still, your choice to go to counseling shows that you're trying to keep things friendly, and the courts appreciate that. Family court judges don't like to referee pointless fights. I can see that. Believe it or not, lawyers don't enjoy it either. Most of the battles we fight on behalf of our clients are silly. I once spent 6 weeks arguing over a coffee table that nobody really cared about. The truth is, people just check out of their marriages and that's it. You simply can't stay married to someone who doesn't want to be married to you. The law just takes a long time to keep up. Most of the time, when couples decide to split, they both agree they want to move on. But they often stretch out the process, trying to hurt each other. This means more work for me, which is fine, but honestly, it's best for everyone if things wrap up quickly. I think I liked this woman I met. She was shuffling papers, looking ready to finish up. I think we've got enough for now. I can file within a week. Just let me know when and where you want her served. As soon as possible. At his home. Or no, at his work. Maybe. Think about it. The time and place matter. It says a lot about how you feel. Being friendly is better for you. Right now, I can be tough if needed, but you don't want to come off too aggressive, right? Right. I'll think about it. When is your counseling appointment? Wednesday. See how that goes. Call me afterward. She organized my papers into a folder. And try to enjoy the rest of the day. Things could be a lot worse. Okay. I left the office. I called Jessica, but it went to voicemail. I soon got a text. Hey, with Mom right now. Not a good time. Call you later. I replied with KK, knowing it meant okay, even if I wasn't sure why. I called Michael instead. Hey, Dad, how are you? Any news? I just met with my divorce attorney. Michael was quiet. Still there? I can't believe this is happening. The process is starting. It'll take about a week to file and serve her. Then it might take a few more months, maybe a year, if it goes fast. We have a counseling session on Wednesday. I hoped it would help your mom see things clearer, but I've been told it might not go as planned. I suppose I'll have to take some responsibility for what happened in the marriage. You're not a failure, Dad. I get how you feel. I mean, I've been reading about this. Your feelings matter, and many people feel this way, but I'm not great at this. Kids often think it's their fault when parents divorce, even though it really isn't true. Oh my gosh, Michael, you don't think this is your fault, do you? No, not really. Sometimes those thoughts come to me, but I can usually set them aside. I've been out of the house for most of the year, and before that, it felt like Mom was trying not to involve us, didn't it? You're right. She was only thinking about her own feelings. I agree. Look, I don't want to talk poorly about your mother. She's still your mom, and that will never change. I don't want to cause any trouble between you and her, okay? You won't. I'm not happy about it, but I'll think what I think anyway. I just hope the girl I marry won't treat me like that one day. I want to say she won't, but it's hard to know. I just hope you have better luck than I did. Maybe this whole marriage thing isn't as great as people say, huh? Don't say that. You know, I've been reading some things. People my age aren't getting married or having kids as much as before. Millennials took their time, and you guys were slower than the boomers, too. Younger folks seem to be looking at everything differently. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe. You know what? What? I'm really glad I have such smart kids. Happy to help. Just a moment. He might have been checking his phone. Jessica is calling me. She's with her mom. Better take it. I'll call you back. Bye. Love you, Dad. After 45 minutes. Dad? Hey, Michael. Jessica's been feeling pretty down. She was mostly crying. Oh no, is she okay? I should call her. No, I'll go see her. I'm here, Dad, she said. Michael added you in. Oh. Hi, sweetie. I'm okay now. I feel better. What happened with your mom? It was really bad. She spent the whole time trying to convince me to accept Mr. Davenport as part of our family, like he could be a stepdad or something with him as her second husband. Wait, what? I think she's not thinking clearly. I told her it was a crazy idea and that you would never accept it, and neither would I. But it was like talking to a wall. She has this strange fantasy and won't let go. Really? That woman thinks she can just bring Lee Davenport into our family? Yes, that's what she said. Not a chance. Jessie started crying again. Daddy, I don't understand how she can do this to you, to us. What's wrong with her? She's just... Breathe, Jessie, take it easy. Yeah, little sister, we've talked about this. She kept crying for a bit. Jessie, I'm coming to get you. No, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I can't leave you feeling like this. Let me take care of you, please. She stayed quiet. For me, let your dad do this for you. You're a really good dad, she said. The best, Michael added. I'm leaving now. I'll be at the public spot near my dorm. Text me when you're about 5 minutes away. Okay. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Jessie. And you too, Michael. Love you too. Take care of my little sister, Dad. I will. We hung up. I sent the text. Jessie got into my car with a gym bag. She must not have been planning to spend the night at her dorm. I took her out to dinner, but she could only eat soup. We hardly talked. Afterward, we went back to my place and sat on the couch. My strong and bright 19-year-old daughter seemed so much younger then, almost like a child. I held her close and we both just breathed together. Sometimes just being there matters. Jessie slept on the pull-out couch and I took her to breakfast before returning her to campus. It was Saturday, so we didn't have any plans. Breakfast turned into brunch, and I also had a long phone call with Michael. I dropped Jessie off and checked my email. My move to Chicago was almost set. I could be there in 6 weeks, and the company would cover the moving costs. I found 2 condominiums I liked and sent the details to Michael to get his opinion. Maybe in a few years we'd be roommates. I tackled my laundry, which had built up over the week, but it felt lighter than usual. I couldn't remember the last time I did laundry just for me. Before, I had always done it with Stephanie and the kids. While the laundry was going, I updated Cookie about our plans for a dinner at a tapas restaurant we hadn't tried before. Stephanie kept leaving messages, but I chose to ignore them. After what she put Jessica through, I wasn't interested in her drama. When I met Cookie at the restaurant, she kissed my cheek as we sat down. "So, how is the extended stay?" she asked. "It's all right. It's not busy," I replied. "Sorry, I always want you to feel welcome in my home, but I know there's really only room for me long term." "True, and at least I won't slip in your shower," I joked. "You really should get a non-slip mat." "I have one. It's rolled up in a stand between the wall and the corner of the tub." "You do? I didn't see it." "Really? You're lucky you didn't fall. You should have mentioned it was there." "I didn't think about it. I usually shower at the gym. I only use that tub for relaxing." "Oh, I had a feeling about that. There are so many things we overlook, like the shower mat and other deeper issues. It hit me that the world is full of things we don't see that could catch us off guard. Cookie noticed I was feeling down, as always. I thought about changing the subject and asking her about her last 2 nights dancing. But I knew the answer would be, what happens at the club stays at the club. I wondered if she was involved in something I really didn't want to know about, and I hoped she couldn't read my thoughts. "Dave, you seem far away." Sorry, I guess I am. I have a lot on my mind." "Stephanie?" "Yeah, and you. You were right to tell me not to go to the club. I don't think it would have made me feel better. It would have been hard, and I'm going to Chicago. I've made up my mind. But am I running towards something new, or am I just trying to escape? I really don't understand myself these days. I have no idea what lies ahead. I don't know what I might be missing. Even with everything I've done, I don't feel like I control any of it." She nodded. "Because you've been through a lot." "Yeah. Well, we can't always control what happens to us. Most of the time, we can't. But there's a lesson you haven't really grasped yet. I've told you before, but it didn't stick. When you understand it, you'll really understand. Until then, it's just talk. But I'm here to teach you, and I'll keep showing you until it clicks. Are you ready?" "Sure. Let's see. It will come to you when you're ready. The lesson is simple. Bad things happen, and we can't control that. What we can control is ourselves. You have the power to choose how you respond to everything. It's not easy. We often don't stick to our best intentions. We can be affected in ways we don't fully get, and that makes it hard to deal with those feelings. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for how you react to anything. I see that, but I can't help. No, stop there. Look at me. Look at what I went through and see who I am now. It won't change overnight. You might wrestle with this your whole life. You might choose to struggle, or you might choose not to. It's up to you alone. Okay. Imagine someone facing a tough time. Picture a man who feels like his life has been shattered. It's not far-fetched, is it? But he isn't you. His name was William Ernest Henley. He lived in the late 1800s and he dealt with illness. He lost a leg to it and spent most of his life in great pain. Here's what he shared about his journey. "In the dark of night that surrounds me, as deep as the ocean from one end to the other, I am thankful to whatever gods may exist for my strong spirit. In the tough moments of life, I have not flinched or shouted out. Even when faced with challenges, my head is bruised, but I will not bow down. Beyond this place of anger and tears, there is only the fear of what lies ahead. But still, the worries of time find me brave and strong. It does not matter how narrow the path is or how harsh the choices may seem, I am in charge of my life. I am the captain of my spirit." The poem is called Invictus, which means undefeated. He seems hurt and broken, but that's not the whole story. He is ready to face whatever comes next until the end. Even in death, he won't be defeated. He may have been knocked down, but he will always stand tall. My goodness, was all I could manage to say. The world felt like it was spinning and I had to hold onto the table to stay steady. Can you feel it? Yes, I really can. Strength, David. Courage. Determination. Invictus. Yes. Who is the captain of your ship? I am. Who is the captain of your spirit? I am. I can't hear you. I am. Who decides your actions? I do. Absolutely right. Invictus. Exactly. Now listen, life hasn't been easy for you. It could be better or worse, but that doesn't matter. You get to choose how things will be, because they are your decisions. Be honest about who you are. Make choices for yourself, because you are the one who gets to decide. Be true. You're not fooling anyone, especially not yourself. That's how to live well. I hadn't had anything to drink, but I felt a rush of excitement. It doesn't have to happen all at once. It almost can't. I just need to keep moving forward. One day at a time, as they say. I don't expect you to just let it go, David. I just need you to keep pushing on, because you chose to move forward. That's how you stay undefeated no matter what happens. Like when Worf was held captive and continued to fight in the arena. DS9, very good. I'm glad to meet another former fan. I told you I have a lot of that in my mind. And in your heart. It's filled with the best thoughts in the world, Dave. I felt much happier for the rest of dinner. And when we finished, Cookie said, "Walk with me." We were in a lively area, close to the arena and convention center. There was a small jewelry shop, barely more than a booth, and she pulled me inside. Was she hoping for a gift? "What's your ring size, Dave? Your right hand, not your left?" I don't know. "Doesn't matter, they'll measure it for you." And they did. The old man had a big loop filled with rings of all sizes. While Cookie looked over the display, he measured my finger. "That one," she said, pointing to a sturdy-looking titanium piece. "Was it a wedding band?" "You do engravings, right? Can you do it while we wait?" The man nodded. "Great. I want 3 words on the inside, spaced out nicely, like here and here and here," she directed, showing him. She took out a small piece of paper and wrote the 3 words down where I couldn't see. "What's this all about, Cookie?" "Shh, it's a gift. From me to you." "I can't let you do that." "You don't have a choice. I'm doing it. You can keep it or not, but I'm giving this to you." "But you said..." "I said what?" "You said this isn't a relationship. Not like that." "Oh no, you've got it wrong. This is for you. The ring isn't about us, it's about you. It's a reminder." "A reminder of what?" "You'll find out." She placed the ring on my finger when the man finished and paid with her card. It fit perfectly and looked good. Cookie has a great eye for this sort of thing. It felt strange, though. I had worn a ring on my left hand for 20 years, but now I had one on my right. I was in a totally new place. I took it off and looked at the engraving. "Fortitudo integritas invictus." Strength, integrity, unconquered, she said. "May it guide you in dark times when everything else seems lost." I smiled. "Just like Galadriel's gift, the light of Arendelle." "Wow, you really know your stuff, oh master of trivia." Her smile was bright and warm. "When things get tough, when you feel down or alone, touch the ring and remember, just hope you don't face any giant spiders." "I don't think that will happen. I'm heading to Chicago, not a fantasy land." I kissed the ring, then her cheek. "Thank you, Cookie. I'll cherish it. I'll wear it and remember everything you've done for me." "Whoa, don't get all emotional. This isn't goodbye. I'm moving away. And you'll be back. I'll visit you there. It may not be often, but I promise to stick with you and I mean it." Well, thank you. "Part of your journey, young one. Speaking of journeys, I packed a bag. Let me follow you to your new place." It was a memorable night. Cookie and I enjoyed each other's company. She took a long, relaxing shower while I got ready. We didn't spend the entire day together, just a quick breakfast. She had a lot of work to do, and we both had jobs the next day. Michael was surprised when I suggested we could live together when he moved to Chicago in a few years, but he seemed happy about it. He was excited about finding his own place, but living in the Windy City is expensive. He probably needed a roommate. Ideally, someone who would cover all the costs and wouldn't interfere in his life. He wasn't sure about a commitment, but he did prefer one condo over another. Monday came and went without anything happening. Tuesday was similar, but I enjoyed a nice sushi dinner with Cookie. She paid for the meal and was happy to see me wearing the ring. I hadn't taken it off since I got it. It felt like a fresh promise to myself. The sushi tasted better than before, and having a drink made it more enjoyable. Cookie is knowledgeable about sushi and even showed me how to use chopsticks. Even though she paid, I noticed our dinner was pricier than the last one. We managed to avoid talking about my meeting with the counselor the next day, but I kept fiddling with the ring. Wednesday afternoon arrived. It was the big day. I got to the counselor's office right on time. I didn't want to be late and look childish, nor did I want to be early and let Steph surprise me. I thought being punctual was important, so I parked my car out of sight and walked in just a minute before my appointment. But she wasn't there. I felt a bit lost, moving around the reception area. I sat down with a cup of bad coffee and waited. After 10 minutes, I decided that was long enough. There was no one at the reception, so I walked around until I found someone to ask. The young woman was focused on her tablet. "Hi, I'm here to meet Jordan Koenig. He's busy right now. You'll have to wait about an hour." "I'm part of the couple he is supposed to see. This is our first meeting. My name is David Jameson." "Okay," the girl said, looking concerned. "Let me check the schedule." She walked to the reception desk and tapped on the screen. "Jameson, right. They're in room 4. She frowned slightly. "I thought you were already here." "Why would you think that?" "Never mind. Thank you." I went to room 4 and knocked. After a moment, a young man opened the door. "Sorry, we're busy and can't be interrupted." "Cheney should have informed you." "I'm David Jameson." But then who?" His eyes widened. "You should come in." Inside the room were Stephanie and her surprising boyfriend, Lee. "Oh, good. You're here." Stephanie smiled at me. "It was a bit rude of you to show up late, but now we can really get started." "Stephanie, what is he doing here?" "Let me guess. You came together. You allowed Jordan and Cheney?" I glanced at the counselor, who nodded. "So you let them think he was your husband?" "I've been waiting for 10 or 12 minutes. Well, that's what we're here to talk about, isn't it?" I clenched my fist tightly. My knuckles turned white. I relaxed and touched my ring, a gift from Galadriel. It reminded me to stay strong. "Keep it together, Dave. Don't let them get to you." I knew I was going to have to face Shelob. Before I could say anything, Jordan took charge. "Mrs. Jameson, is this your husband? And this is the person you're seeing? Bringing him here isn't right. He isn't part of your marriage. It's just the two of you." Lee Davenport sat quietly, looking like a small lizard trying not to be noticed. "We are soulmates," Stephanie said. "I thought this was a chance for us to communicate and sort things out, without David making a scene." Jordan looked at me, and I figured it was better to stay quiet. "David isn't making a scene, Stephanie. He seems quite in control. And honestly, I think he sees this man's presence here as a challenge. Deserving of a response," I added. "And what would that response be?" "Okay, yes, this man is a therapist. There's an old joke about how many therapists it takes to change a light bulb. Terrible joke, but anyway, I had the floor. My response? This situation shows just how troubled my marriage is. My estranged wife seems to think I'll join in on this mess." I walked towards the door. "I'll pay for this session. Not for the next one. I won't be back. You three should use this time to explain to Stephanie just how lost she seems to be. You see? He's being so immature. A grown-up would at least stay and talk." She sounded oddly pleased. "Stephanie, I hope that one day you'll gain some perspective. Expect the papers by the end of the week. I'm done." I left. Those turned out to be the last words I would say to her in person for over 6 years. True to her word, Alicia Swanson acted fast. She even managed to get a restraining order against Stephanie after her outburst in the counselor's office. Stephanie received the papers at Lee Davenport's house just over 2 days after I walked out. She tried to delay things, but I didn't need to live in the same house. My friendships with Michael and Jessica were strong. I moved to Chicago and kept busy with work and getting used to a new city. I didn't need to rush into another marriage. I could wait as long as it took. Even if the divorce took forever, I was finished being married to her. During that time, I knew I couldn't pretend everything was okay. Stephanie didn't want to sell the house, which was fine by me. Neither of us was living there. The mortgage was mostly paid off, so I kept up with the payments. No big deal. She would have liked to use the kids in our arguments, but they were technically adults now. They actually thought she was a bit off. They bought some genetic testing kits just to make a point to her. Stephanie wanted to argue, but I stayed quiet. Alicia was right. You can't stay married to someone who isn't committed, especially if they want out. The whole process took a long time. Steph married Lee Davenport almost right after our divorce. That saved me a lot of money. Their marriage lasted about 10 months. It seemed like the excitement of it all mattered to them. Once they were settled together, things fell apart. He got a new job in a different area and moved away a year later. She married again, but that didn't last long either as he cheated on her. After that, she started a relationship with a woman and moved in with her quickly. I know it's a cliché, but sometimes those jokes ring true. That relationship didn't last either, and now she claims to be polyamorous, though I doubt most of her partners see it that way. Moving to Chicago helped me grow my career, and I'm starting to think about retirement. Michael moved in with me after he finished school. That lasted almost 2 years until he found a girl he liked more and moved in with her. They are getting married, and I'm excited about a grandchild coming soon. Jessica, on the other hand, seems to prefer short-term adventures. She travels often, trying different jobs, visiting friends, and meeting new people. She may settle down eventually, but she's in no rush. Maybe she feels that marriage isn't what it's made out to be. I haven't remarried. I still get attention from divorced women, and I'm not interested in going through that again. I have trust issues, and I recognize that. But I also know I have my reasons that make sense to me. I still wear the ring Cookie gave me every day. I find myself thinking about it a lot for strength. I still stay in touch with Cookie. Although our relationship hasn't gone beyond what I've already shared, she keeps her promise to visit Chicago sometimes during her spring or fall break. Every so often, I take a long weekend to see her at her home. Sebastian is much more comfortable around me now, but it took a few years. Also, she included me in her next book. Dr. Heartbreak looks at the groups and support systems that form around people going through divorce. I was one of her positive examples. One day while she was visiting, we were walking through Centennial Park after a day of sightseeing. There's lots to do there. We had gone to the Field Museum and had dinner at Lou Malnati's, which she really liked despite her jokes about too much cheese. I figured something out, I said, not looking at her. You figured out what? Your tattoo. No, you didn't. Her tiny smile looked a bit playful. Yes, I did, I'm sure. No, you might feel sure, but trust me, you're wrong. She took my hand. Just promise me you won't throw away any of your guesses. I know we've shared a lot, and we've become close. That's not new for me, but maybe it is for you. You think you know me well, but nobody really does. Sometimes I let people guess, and then they never find out. But with you, I would hate to do that. It's better to leave it as a mystery. Trust me. I gently squeezed her hand and turned to touch her face softly. The reason nobody has gotten it right, I said, is that everyone thinks it means 3 different things. That's not it. It's the same meaning repeated 3 times, like a ritual or a charm. Her eyes widened. She let go of my hand and stepped back a little. What? How could you? She shut her eyes, shook her head, and took a shaky breath. You can't know. I pulled her into a hug and placed my hand gently between her shoulder blades, right where her tattoo is. I leaned close and whispered a sweet tune filled with hope and joy. C is for Cookie. That's good enough for me. While I sang, I traced a letter C along one of the 3 curved lines of her tattoo. She gasped. C is for Cookie, and that's good enough for me. The second curved line looked like the letter C turned around. C is for Cookie, and that's good enough for me. The third C, lying sideways, joined the ends of the first 2, finishing the design. Ooh, Cookie, Cookie, Cookie starts with C. I drew a circle around the design just like hers, making sure to touch each of the 3 leaves each time I sang Cookie. She was trembling in my arms. I leaned back and looked into her eyes. They were bright and filled with tears. It's always in your mind, like a little reminder. You find it strong. That's what you said. She nodded. The tattoo is your name, I told her. More specifically, it's your signature, made in a way that only you would understand. It's your identity. That Muppet represents your spirit, and this is his song. Now, as an adult, it's your truth and your strength. Why can't a silly joke or a children's song also hold deep meaning? It can be both. You taught me that. But there's more. Go on, she said, barely above a whisper. Tears streamed down her face. Why do we write our names on things? What does a signature mean? It shows we own these things. We take responsibility for them. If you had someone else's name on you, it would mean you belong to them forever. It would show everyone. But you put your own name on yourself, in your skin, for good. You've said you belong to yourself, not to anyone else. Only you know what it means. You did it 3 times, signed and clear, using symbols that matter to you. Whenever you perform under another name, it always starts with C. You also have a special place you call Room 3. The number 3 always shows up in your life, almost like magic. 3 is often called a magic number. Schoolhouse Rock taught you that. And of course, C is the 3rd letter of the alphabet. She nodded along with my words, showing she understood. I can't believe it. I thought no one. She shook again. I knew you were special the moment I saw you. You won't ever belong to anyone else, will you? You've said that many times, but no one seems to believe you. They think love will take over, that romance or your feelings will change things. They think you're just being stubborn. I'm honoring myself, she replied. You're right, no one gets it. They believe I've given in to my past. That's how it started. But there is no one else for me. There never was. There never will be. She looked at me like she was trying to see right through me. It's not just a negative, it's an affirmation. I belong to me. Everyone belongs to themselves in the end. We're fooling ourselves if we think otherwise. The key is that I know for sure that I'm good enough for me. You are. You really are. And I'm glad, Cookie. There is no one else I would ever trust with my friend. She broke down, tears streaming down her face as she hugged me tightly, like I was a lifeline in a stormy sea. Thank you, she said after a few moments, then took some time to gather herself. Thank you for understanding me. And truly, thank you for respecting it, for respecting me. There isn't enough of that in the world, especially not in most relationships, I said. I'm proud to be part of this, and I'm proud of you. Proud of me for what? You've made your life meaningful. You found your purpose. I worry that many of us don't do that. We just get by and take care of ourselves. You're right. I think many of us are meant to just get by. Changing the world isn't easy. She sniffled. There's something I'm going to need from you, Dave. Just say the word. Anything. First, keep moving forward. I know you're going to be okay, but that doesn't mean you won't feel pain. Just survive, heal, be well, and thrive. Whatever it takes. I'll help you and others will too. But now you're ready. You're worthy, even if you don't see it yet. I need help too. Of course. With what? The work we're doing, it's a lot. There's so much sadness out there every day. Everyone has been hurt in some way. That's true. So, I need you to do what I do. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little sometimes. Enough to make a difference for one person when it counts. Pay it back or pay it forward, you know? Absolutely. How can I help? Just listen. Just be there. Really understand people like you understood me. Stay connected long enough to matter even when they might not think so. Everyone needs to feel heard. Everybody needs to feel appreciated. You can be that for them, Dave. Just reach out. Each person is different, so you'll need to approach them in different ways. Maybe you'll share something deep with some. Or maybe you'll just sit quietly with someone. Whatever they need. Be ready to make a human connection when you see someone struggling, and keep your promises. I can do that. Good. You'll see it helps. Sometimes the best way to help yourself is to help others. She took a breath. You said that yourself on the first night we spent together. Why do you think I'd do it? It's really the only reason I'm still here. That's what I'm focused on now. That's how I plan to spend my retirement. When Cookie and I get together, we usually catch up and share stories. We've found our own rhythm together. We're not young anymore, but we're still enjoying life. It's been a few years since I started this new chapter, and I hope this one will be someone I can guide along the way. You never know what might happen. Life is different than I expected. It's not what I imagined I'd be doing, especially after things went sideways with Steph. But it's nice. It feels good. It's fulfilling. And it's enough for me. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Infidelity Plus to stay updated with more captivating tales of infidelity and payback. Turn on notifications so you're the first to see our latest content.